everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the September 2025 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which goes over most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. Starting off in the West Coast, we have yet another transit project in LA finally seeing the start of service, as LA Metro opened their 4-stop extension of the A line to Pomona North. Filled with seas of tents containing free food, music, and keepsakes, several festivities were held at each of the new stations on opening day on September 19th, with this new section making stops at Glendora, San Dimas, La Verne, and Pomona North, thus restoring rail service on the entirety of the former Santa Fe Railroad main line. Because it runs through downtown LA and all the way to Long Beach, this brings the total mileage of the A line up to 57.6 miles, thus making it the longest light rail line in the world. But with the opening of this extension, and with Pomona North Station being located directly next to the Metrolink San Bernardino line station, this now makes LA Metro a serious competitor against Metrolink along this corridor, as LA Metro is offering much lower fares and more frequent service by comparison. Out of all the transit projects that LA Metro has worked on in the past few decades, this line is one of the most unique by being converted from a former heavy rail main line instead of a Pacific Electric branch. It's suburb-to-suburb through running pattern, making it the longest light rail line in the world, and it also has a newly constructed freight track to continue adjacent local freight services from Union Pacific. But with this project opening in the same year as the LAX light rail station opening, the A-line extension serves as yet another example of LA's incredible transit building skills, with the A-line planned to be extended again to Claremont and Montclair in the coming years. This practice of constantly planning and constructing one metro extension after another results in a plethora of rail experience in recent years, ready to be utilized to connect several more parts of Los Angeles, which makes LA Metro a role model of supporting and building transit projects that the rest of the US and the world can look up to. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. BART hosted an anime festival to promote their anime mascots, Cardi B voiced several announcements for the NYC subway, Amtrak revealed a Via Liberty themed tracksuits, Wabtec is to make a hydrogen-powered locomotive representing the Pittsburgh Steelers, Canadian Pacific 2816 made an appearance at the Calgary film premiere, Menards has released the O-Gauge Dino Express train set, Pride and Prejudice made an appearance in a Railway Age article, my channel name has been added in W Place next to the Port Jefferson IRR station. The Super Mario Galaxy movie has been confirmed by Nintendo, along with the re-release of the Nintendo Virtual Boy. Network Rail has named one of their leaf fighting vehicles Control-Alt-Delete, while Northern Railway is testing out dry ice to remove leaves from the tracks. Great Western Railways is offering tickets with mystery departure times. SNCF is to withdraw their nightjet services from Paris to Berlin and Vienna, while Renfe is to end service on their low-cost high-speed rail service named Avlo. RTB Cargo has released their Vec truck livery on the Siemens Vectron. The Queensland Gold Coast Light Rail project has been cancelled, along with the St. Louis Metro Green Line. The DOJ ruled that Norfolk Southern must give Amtrak trains priority on their trackage. A news agency incorrectly labeled a proposed New York to Houston Amtrak service as commuter rail instead of a long-distance service. And the MBTA has released a Boston and Maine heritage unit on F40PH number 1030, thus being a rare instance of an F40 being given a heritage livery in revenue service in the 21st century. Now here's the follow-up news sections for articles covering stories from previous episodes. Steve Angel has been named the new CEO of CSX during the same time that CSX offered a joint intermodal service with CN. Wadeco has placed autonomous tugboat railcars into service on Carmuse America's Bush Bay rail line, with plans to implement them at other locations soon. Sierra Northern has placed their converted hydrogen-powered gensets into service, along with Can-Do Rail's converted hydrogen-powered gensets. Arrow has placed their Zemu into service, thus being the first hydrogen-powered passenger rolling stock to enter service in North America. Metro is to place their cafe cars into service soon, and Chicago has pushed back their transit cut deadline to the middle of 2026. And SEPTA will not be going forward with their transit cuts for another 2 years, due to the needed funds being reallocated from the capital improvement budget, with Pittsburgh PRT undergoing a similar solution to prevent their service cuts from going through as well. In other news, a potential IRR strike has been pushed back by about 2 months. The NYC subways have swapped the F&M trains between 47th 50th Street Rockefeller Center and Queens Plaza in December to free up a congested interlocking. MDOT is to study Detroit to Grand Rapids passenger service. The Savage Tool Railroad started service on the former Western Pacific branch in Utah. The Dart Silver Line is to start service on October 25th. Adelaide Light Rail has been nationalized. Melbourne is to host the 2027 World Tram Driver Championship after this year's competition in Vienna saw the first American team from San Diego Metro. Santo Domingo is to construct a new monorail in the Dominican Republic. DB has announced Evelyn Pala as their new CEO. Carlo Acutis has been canonized as a saint. KRI has developed a high-speed train set Boogie. Alstom is to deliver battery electric MUs for New Zealand Railways, while Skoda is to make bimode MUs for RegioJet. JICEV has purchased Stadler Intercity EMUs, while PKP has purchased the Alstom Caridia Max. CRRC has developed new EMUs for Tren Suburbano in Mexico City, while Tursas has to purchase 6-axle electric locomotives. The Passat Gamma 3.0 was revealed at Traco 2025, along with several new multiple units and engines in Poland, including Siemens Vectrain coaches and coach cars from Railpool Leasing. Stadler has released a Tina tram for the Netherlands. An Indian diesel locomotive has been converted to run on batteries. CRRC has placed the Yinli Taurus train into service, while Moscow placed driverless streetcars into service. Metro North has placed their SC42 DMs into service, thus being the first dual-mode chargers to enter service. A DB Class 145 has been purchased by NISA and was given an intricate livery. Singapore MRT has retired their C151 rail cars, the first subways on the Metro's roster. NJT has to scrap their ALP-44s currently stored on the Lackawanna Cutoff, while LTEX scrapped BNSF 1474 to Great Pumpkin. A Dutch PCC has been acquired by the National Trolley Museum, and the Adirondack Scenic Railroad has repainted an Alco C430 into a New York Central Cigar Band livery. Hawaiian Sugar Company No. 3 has been restored. HSD Roundhouse has acquired CNO 1308, and Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 has been given side deflectors for an upcoming excursions in order to represent a little-known variant of the Big Boy class. And happy 200th anniversary to the Stockton and Darlington Railway. By extension, happy 200th anniversary to the modern railway as we know it. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is model trains that run on coal. And now, the top story of the September 2025 Pensyfan Periodical is BNSF Office Car Special runs to Long Island. As what could likely be one of the greatest and rarest moves in the history of Long Island, if not the East Coast, BNSF ran an office car special from Topeka, Kansas and Chicago on rare East Coast mileage down to Garden City, New York, in order to serve as a hotel on rails for BNSF executives to watch the Ryder Cup Golf Championship at Bethpage Black Golf Course during the week of September 21st, where Team Europe ultimately beat Team USA in the competition. This 16-car long train was initially led by BNSF Givos from Chicago to Selkirk by Thursday the 18th, where the power was swapped to a pair of CSX AC4400 CWs in Y&2 livery, which had fuel tanks short enough to clear the Metro North 3rd rail south of Croton Harmon. But unfortunately, even though the engines cleared the 3rd rail, the private cars in the consist were just a few inches too wide for the MN 3rd rail, which resulted in them to be stopped at Croton North Yard for inspection and were sent back up to Selkirk later the next day. The train then spent most of Saturday sitting in Selkirk until it was ultimately decided to use 2 Amtrak P-42s and tow the train all the way around Springfield, Massachusetts to Fresh Pond Yard due to clearance issues in the Hudson River tunnels, before the train was picked up by LIRR MP-15s and finally arrived on Garden Mitchell Secondary in Garden City on Monday, September 22nd, coincidentally at the exact same time as Metro North's inaugural run of the SC42 Chargers just a few miles away. The cars remained on the siding for the whole week before being sent back on Monday the 29th, where by the time this video comes out, the train set is likely en route back to the West Coast, hopefully somewhere along the CSX mainline to Chicago at this point. This marks the first time in BNSF history that any OCS equipment was sent east of Chicago, or rather east of Louisville when BNSF ran a joint OCS with CSX and CN to the 2008 Ryder Cup in Louisville, Kentucky, as pretty much everyone in the greater New York City region made the effort to catch this train along its lengthy and once-in-a-lifetime journey, including myself as you can see with the background footage. Even though the last-second reroutes and delays made trying to catch this rarity tedious for most of the time, there was an overall sense of awe and celebration seeing the silver 16-car-long office car special finally reach its destination of Garden City in its majestic, slow-moving glory. I for one can say that it was absolutely worth the several long nights of little to no sleep and traveling to several locations just to see this train pass by, as countless New York Region Rail fans were able to witness railroading history pass by right in their own backyards. And who's to say if or when such an amazing move would ever grace the rails in this region again. And since this run was something that I personally spent days trying to catch at several locations within my greater home region, that makes it more than worthy of the title of Top Story for this month's Pensyfan Periodical. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.